Welcome to My Money Mindset podcast, where we explore how a healthy mindset is the foundation for financial success. Each week, we delve into mindset hacks and practical strategies to help you enhance your income, help you make more appropriate investments for yourself, and to improve your overall financial well-being. Join us on this journey to transform your financial future by transforming your mindset. Please note that the information provided on this podcast is for general information purposes only and does not constitute as personal, financial or health advice. It has been prepared without considering your individual objectives, financial situation or life needs. Before making any financial or health decisions, you should consult with a qualified professional or financial advisor to ensure the information aligns with your specific circumstances. So let's begin and enjoy this journey as each episode teaches us on how to improve our overall mindset that overall improves our financial success. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Money Mindset. Today I wanted to speak about, I've had a few questions from clients and people inquiring about becoming a social finance worker or someone that works in finance to be able to help other people, but they're sort of not in the industry, such as an accountant or a finance broker or anything like that, and what they need to do in order to get involved in the industry. A lot of people believe that it's quite required in society, or Australia society today, that a lot of people are struggling financially simply because of multiple reasons, the cost of living, such as interest rates, inflation, that sort of thing, and just sort of simply getting caught out with life itself. So I thought I'd do an episode in relation to what it would take in order for you, if you're ever thinking about becoming a worker, as in a non-for-profit, or if it's something that you want to be able to sort of help people. It could be your next door neighbour, it could be family, friends, that sort of thing, that you could assist in, but you don't really have qualifications. It's always a touchy subject, especially with finance. It's a very highly regulated industry, and righteously so, simply because it needs to be. There unfortunately a lot of untoward people that try and take advantage of people with their limited knowledge. So we need a lot more honest people out there in the finance industry. And I suppose I'm defining it as a social finance worker, but you could also define it as other things, as in, financial counsellor or a mortgage broker or finance broker or anything like that. Get involved in the industry. You may want to work for a bank or something like that to sort of get your foot in the door. If it is a career move and you wanted to get paid for it, there are other, things that you could also do. So it's a great industry. Being a finance broker or counsellor is a great industry to be in. It's something that is very rewarding. It's something that you get to meet so many fantastic people that you are able to help, and it's something that I think it provides a lot of purpose for individuals. I know even for myself, there's a massive purpose reason why I do what I do, and it's simply just to assist those that are sort of, needing that a bit more assistance, or they want to really grow and become the best version of themselves or selves, right? So I'll start off with the sort of the common roles in social finance assistance or anything like that. And the first one that sort of comes to mind, obviously from many moons ago, was becoming a financial counsellor. And that was sort of and it depends, you can work for different organisations as a financial counsellor, or you could actually run your own business doing it, depending on how you wanted to do it. So the role would be to sort of provide independent and confidential advice to support the people, as in who's inquiring for, who may be experiencing financial difficulty. You sort of help them manage debt, negotiate with creditors, understand the rights of the financial rights, how to develop budgeting skills, so you're covering a whole basis for people when helping them out. But that being said, financial counsellors are sort of restricted. They can do it, but as far as providing financial product advice, there are some limitations there, which is more for a finance broker per se. Employers are sort of, most of the time in these roles, are community organisations like non-for-profit, some government-funded services, that sort of thing. So And then you've also got financial capability worker, or commonly known as a financial well-being worker or literacy educator, that sort of thing. Their role is slightly different, but all the same thing as what I mentioned with the financial counsellor. Their role is to focus on building people's knowledge or skills and confidence to sort of make better financial decisions type of thing, and sort of just improve their overall financial resilience. They can do this in multiple ways. It could be one-on-one, which is great, but then they conduct workshops too, which is awesome. That way, a lot of the people are able to bounce ideas and sort of understand that they're not alone, that sort of thing. They work really well, those workshops. And they sort of can provide information on money management, budgeting, credit, consumer credit, what to look out for as it comes to credit cards, all that type of stuff, right? What to do, what you'd recommend to do, and what you wouldn't recommend never to do, type of thing, or that sort of thing. They sort of distinctive, like I was saying, from a financial counsellor, as they don't really provide debt advice or advocacy type of thing. So financial capability worker, you're really bordering on like a social worker, but with a financial sort of education behind it type of thing. Employers for that sort of thing would be community organisations, not-for-profit, that sort of thing, government programs. So look, they are out there. They're once again, it's a real purpose in your life that you get to be able to help people with this, and getting involved with a lot of these organisations that have the same ethos or intent, which to this day I still am involved in a little bit as well, to sort of be able to provide assistance when needed. It really is a rewarding role. There is another role that I mean, it's not a popular sort of thing, but it's called the microfinance role. And it facilitates to like a safe and fair and affordable financial products for people excluded from the mainstream banking, such as no interest loans, or micro enterprise development loans, they were called many moons ago. I don't think they call them that anymore. Very scarce, right? But they support clients through the application process and financial literacy aspects of that. So same sort of thing. You get organisations such as Brotherhood of St. Lawrence, Good Shepherd, that sort of thing, other community-based microfinance providers. They're little subsections where they sort of can navigate people through affordable financial products, really hold their hand per se, as opposed to, let's say, going back to a financial capability worker, right? So now the other role that I did mention before, I think it was the social impact investment professional, or what could commonly known, and I'll put this in the notes, ethical investment advisor. They sort of work in an organisation that helps facilitate investments with both financial return and positive social or environmental impact, right? So these are really, so it's not so much working with people, but making decisions or making ethical decisions in relation to, it could be environmental concerns, local, state, federal concerns in the environment, that sort of thing. It can involve structuring deals, assessing social impact, managing portfolios of different companies, advising clients on ethical investment options, that sort of thing. So you notice now there's some banks now that are really turning into banks that are favourable to environmental. So they don't fund businesses that are in ammunition or crude oil, that sort of stuff. And they're really ethically focused upon making sure that everything they do has a positive social and environmental impact on there. So it is starting to turn for the better. It's a great thing. Years ago, it never really existed. It was more about the shareholders and just making profit. But fortunately for everyone, there are a lot of ethical banks starting to arise there, and they're really good to deal with as well. That's sort of, if you're ever thinking about becoming a social impact investment professional or ethical investment advisor, social enterprises are probably going to be the best bet, or impact investment firms, ethical superannuation funds, which is brilliant. There's a few of those popping up as well. And it's a role that you're working with teams or a team that can actually have the same sort of ethos as yourself and purpose as yourself. So it can be a fantastic career to pursue, and it's only getting better, getting more in demand, especially with the environment and the things like that. Now, we've also got the last one, which I wrote down, and I thought, look, I wasn't going to put it down, but look, being a community finance officer or a finance worker, which is in not-for-profit sector, right? So these are often internal finance roles within a not-for-profit or community-focused organisation. Those sort of community finance officers, they handle traditional finance functions, pretty much like accounts payable, receivable, payroll, budgeting, and it sort of directly supports an organisation with a social mission. So what that basically means is, yes, you are in accounts, your payroll, your budgeting, you're doing that for the organisation, but the organisation itself, so you're not at the forefront of helping people financially, you're actually in the back part of the finance department of the organisation that does have a social mission, right? So it's being involved with an organisation that's passionate about it. Now, the reason I wasn't going to put that in is because it's pretty much at the back part of, you're not on the forefront of helping people. But that being said, you are part of an organisation that is doing a bloody good, making a massive change for people out there financially. So that's why I thought, look, I've got to include it. And it just because you're not out the front doesn't mean that it's not a worthwhile sort of role if you were thinking about becoming involved in the financial industry and helping people there that most need it. So it is a role that is required. It is a very important role in order to keep the organisations that have a social mission or environmental mission to support the environment, to support the society in a financial sense. So it is a massive thing, and it is something to consider. It's a great segue if you've sort of been working for the bank and you sort of don't believe that you want to follow the ethics of that particular bank or whatever it may be. It could be working for another company that is not even in the finance industry, but you certainly have the skills in accounts payable, receivable, payroll, budgeting, that sort of thing. Awesome way to get into this sort of sector of finance. Now, the pathways to sort of education-wise, it's a real mixed bag, right? But I mean, let's go back to going, what would it take to become, or what are the qualifications when it comes to becoming, let's say, a financial counsellor? And going back in the day, and even today, it's a diploma of financial counselling, depending on the university. I think it's around 5 years or thereabouts, 4 years qualifications. Different universities, different sort of diplomas, requirements, that sort of thing, but all have to be accredited in order to become a financial counsellor. Now, there's also the financial capability worker that I mentioned before. I think that's a little bit less than an actual diploma of financial counselling. It was the certificate 3 or 4 in community services. That was what would be required for becoming a capability worker or financial capability worker. So definitely Cert 3 or Cert 4 in community services. Now, it was also the microfinance worker. The qualifications vary for that, so it's sort of a bit vague, and you'd have to really speak to different university or tertiary places, including the organisations that employ people like that, because the qualifications needed can be very diverse, can be, there's a few qualifications that may be required or not required, but generally for microfinance worker, the qualifications they vary, but certificate 4, diploma in community services, could be financial counselling or related field is often preferred, that sort of thing. Yet all in all, I think the skills and attributes when sort of wanting to get more involved in a financial counselling role or social worker, financial social worker, you need to have excellent communication and interpersonal skills, right? So that's paramount. You may be a wealth of knowledge, but the communication skills they can let you down, and you need to really have empathy, patience, be non-judgmental, of course, approach, especially when discussing people's financial concerns or issues. Be very strong analytically and have some really good problem-solving abilities. Now, I'm pinpointing these sort of skills and attributes, and if you sort of reflecting upon yourself right now and thinking, well, gee whiz, I'm not that great being analytical, or I'm not mathematically minded, or sometimes I'm not as patient, you'll definitely find that if you're passionate about the role, a lot of these skills and attributes come naturally to you. Maybe you've never really confronted or been in a situation where you sort of needed to be patient or non-judgmental or anything like that. Depending on what you're used to at work, right? And sometimes people do a complete, 180 on careers. I've spoken to people that have been driving trucks or excavators, or been in nursing. They've been in so many different, factory workers, anywhere, professionals in organisations, and they do a complete 180 to become more aligned with becoming a financial advisor. Could be financial assistance, financial counselling, just anything to do in assisting people with their general overall well-being or social, environmental, financial concerns. Right, so where I'm going with this is, so every time a skill and an attribute that I sort of am speaking about, don't think if you don't have it now, you can always evolve to it, especially if you're passionate about it. Organisational skills and attention in detail is sort of really needed. What I mean by that is simply because detail in a lot of concerns or issues, the devil is really in the detail. So learn to listen, as they say. When you listen, you hear a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of detail there that you need to pay attention to, simply because as a helper, or even for a finance broker or counsellor, they really need to delve in and have a bit of empathy upon, or a lot of empathy upon the person's situation, understanding the financial hardship or just social issues that they may be having financially, that sort of thing, and also be very cultural sensitive. The ability to work with diverse clients, right? So there's so many different cultures here in Australia and in other countries. You really need to have the ability to be able to work with a diversity of different clients. Now, like I said, a lot of people have made career changes and done a complete 180-degree flip from a truck driver over to a financial counsellor or something to that degree, and a finance broker. Doesn't matter. Prior experience in community services or support work or roles involving direct client interaction is probably beneficial, but it doesn't mean that you really do need it. Look, experience in volunteering in the community organisations, that sort of stuff. I really do believe that experience is only, when you're passionate about something, the experience sort of is the tail of the dog, sort of thing. So don't let a lack of experience sort of wag the dog, be the tail that wags the dog. Really, if you're passionate about something, go out there and get it. Obviously, if accreditation, memberships, that sort of stuff. So if you really thought, look, I really want to become a financial counsellor, obviously you've got to go out there and do all your certifications and stuff like that. Like I said, get involved with that. If not, if you're sort of just putting your toe in the water and thinking, look, I want to become a bit of a social worker that orientates and focuses more on financial difficulty, that would be being a part and knocking on a few different organisation doors or company doors to sort of get involved and ask what they would be asking for. But like most jobs or careers or non-for-profits, that sort of stuff, one shoe doesn't fit all type of thing. There is a diversity of different roles to just basically get out there and be a human being and sort of assist people. You may not want to change your job or career or do something on the side for a non-for-profit foundation. Great way of doing things. Many ways that I do a lot on the side that you don't get paid for, but it's very rewarding work, and it's, teaching students about entrepreneurship and financial well-being and all that sort of stuff. I love that type of work. But the main thing here is, even if it's just helping your neighbour and assisting them by referring them to a financial expert that they could approach that has all the skills that you believe would be able to help them, is just the beginning of any journey, right? So to sort of wrap it all up, I think that to start your journey, consider which aspect of social finance most interests you, really. Then research those specific jobs to sort of work backwards and what they require. So what those specific job titles that you really interest you, what are their requirements on platforms such as, ethical I think it's ethical.jobs.com.au, I think, Seek, or through websites of relevant peak bodies, which could be, Financial Counselling Australia, that sort of thing. They sort of post a lot of jobs all the time, and they can sort of direct you as into how do you get into the industry, that sort of thing. And obviously networking within the community and social enterprise sectors, that opens a lot of doors simply because you know a person, and that get you to be able to start your career move into the finance industry, and then you take your journey from there. Hope it helps, guys. I hope I've answered all the questions for those of you that really were interested about becoming more involved in a financial sense to be able to assist people. It is a difficult one, obviously, but it's a lovely career. It's something that's very rewarding. It provides a lot of purpose in life for the individual or the helper. You're enabled to share and empathize with people, which is, connecting with people at sometimes their lowest point in life. And to see their lives turn around is probably one of the most rewarding things, especially for parents or parents that are guiding their children. You're helping them out as well. So you're helping a multitude of people. You help one family, that family helps the other family, and so on and so forth. So it is contagious in a fantastic way. And look, email me or contact me if you wanted to work out more what I could help with. I'm always happy to help and guide you with who to talk to and that sort of thing. So all the best, and thanks for listening, guys.